Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is the first game in the series in 14 years, and honestly, its return does not disappoint. It's nice to see it return so triumphantly with this, instead of what we could have gotten with the delayed Sands of Time remake. And while I am one who's all for remakes, and I'm definitely excited for this one as well, I'm also glad that they decided to take it out of the oven and start from scratch. Because what we had seen, and what was supposed to be released 3 years ago, looked like it was meant to be released for the PS3. In this installment, however, you're playing as Sargon, a warrior part of an elite group of soldiers known as the Immortals. And when Prince Ghassan gets kidnapped, Sargon and the other Immortals are then tasked with finding him and returning him home safely. There's quite a few twists and turns and betrayal, and it's overall pretty compelling. The game was developed by Ubisoft Montpellier, the same studio that brought you Rayman and Beyond Good and Evil. And like those, this is the best thing that Ubisoft has done in a while, since Immortals Fenyx Rising, that largely flew under a lot of people's radars. But like Hi-Fi Rush last year, I'm confident this too will already be added to many people's Game of the Year lists. The best way I can really describe this game is like what Immortals Fenyx Rising is to Breath of the Wild, is like what this game is to Metroid Dread. Like many other games, this entry may not be for everyone, as this time it's a 2.5D Metroidvania, which if you're a fan of anything in the genre, you'll probably love this too. It does return to its side-scrolling origins though, and will likely resonate with some older fans as well. Or if you played one of Ubisoft's other side-scrolling titles from a few years before, Assassin's Creed Chronicles, the Assassin's Creed spin-off trilogy. Though unlike most within the genre, this one is far more forgiving from my experience in comparison, mostly due to the fact that it has multiple difficulty levels that serve as a sort of barrier to entry to appeal to a more broad and general audience. Metroid Dread also included some difficulty options, but they weren't quite as comprehensive. At launch, it just had the normal mode available, and the hard mode unlocked after completion as a sort of new game plus, and then later on added updates for a rookie mode, dread mode, which was the ultra hard difficulty, along with a few others. But here you've got rookie, warrior, hero, immortal, and custom, all of which can be switched over after reloading a save. Whereas in Dread, you can only select this during the start screen and would need to create a new save file if you want to start on another difficulty. I am one of those people that this game is for, because to be honest, I suck at video games, but I still enjoy them and like to dabble in various types, even if they aren't ultimately for me. But this game in particular shines against some other Metroidvanias, in not only its more forgiving nature, but also in its compelling narrative, told through some pretty great voice acting. Now that's not to say that other games in this genre don't also have compelling narratives, but there's definitely something about it that piqued my interest more than most. And maybe that's due in part to the voice acting and the characters that often appear on screen. It's actually pretty great. It has a similar charm to that of the dialogue and acting in Hades, though maybe not quite like Hades. With all that being said, don't get me wrong, the combat in this game isn't a walk in the park either. You've got to learn combos and be able to practice and hone your skills. You can do this by visiting Artaban and completing his challenges, or simply entering the free training mode. I strongly recommend completing as many challenges as possible, as they help you understand what attacks are best suited for any given situation or enemy type, because varying enemies also means varying approaches. Of course, you still need to use your own wits and careful decision making in the moment, but it gives you a better understanding of all the different movesets. A key part of that is learning how to time your dodges, and especially your parries. These will take you a long way. But worry not, because you aren't limited to just your basic sword attacks. You got your ranged attacks with your bow, and abilities called Alpha Surges you can unlock and equip along the way that you can use once you build up its meter. And doing so will unleash a strong flurry of attacks that will often demolish your enemy. But again, parrying is your friend, because when a yellow orb indicator appears on their head, after a successful parry, it opens up a small window for a satisfying execution. Doing side quests can definitely make things easier, and they don't feel particularly grindy either. They help because they will often grant you certain items or buffs that will prove useful. The primary type of buffs are the amulets that you collect while exploring and progressing through the story. These amulets will give you different buffs depending on the type, and you can equip as many as you like so long as they fit within your limited slots. Slots can be expanded, but are also items you need to look out for throughout your playthrough. And like the Athro Surges mentioned earlier, amulets can only be equipped at a Whack Whack tree, which are your save points. But these aren't the only abilities you get. As you progress through the story, you obtain different power types that manipulate time and space, in true Prince of Persia fashion, and that keep the puzzle and level design really engaging and fun. Now if you're looking to purchase some extra potions, or increase their potency, or upgrade your weapons, or even just buy an extra amulet, you can do so by visiting various shops in the game, mostly found within the main haven area of the map, and spending your crystal shards that you collect by defeating enemies, or destroying bigger shard clusters, or even destroying random pots. But for certain items like upgrading weapons, you will need some additional materials, metal ores. There will be times that you'll also need to collect another currency that is much rarer, called Xerxes, which can only be spent at a particular shop after you reach the depths. A few previews I had seen during that window, where some journalists and reviewers were able to get their hands on some first impressions of it, claim that this game evolves the formula with some innovative additions. These additions include the ability to drop a memory shard that takes a screenshot of that area and adds it to your map, so when you backtrack, you'll remember exactly what that area is. It's also nice to be able to add markers to the map to have an idea of where something may be. And while I rarely found myself using either of them, I've heard a good number of reviewers say that they did, and it's always nice to just have more options. Speaking of, there is a vast array of accessibility options in this game, and we love to see it. From being able to fully remap controls, to resizing HUD elements, to switching the font type, to various presets within the high contrast mode. But many of these other options listed there essentially make the game significantly easier. That includes creating rifts that can teleport you through places to avoid having to navigate through rough terrain yourself, or pretty much any difficult platforming. It's features like these that I think will draw in a new audience to this genre to give them a little taste. And if they decide later on that they want to branch out into the genre but aren't quite ready, they can slowly increase the difficulty level to match their needs until they're ready to experience the others. Overall, the gameplay is incredibly smooth and very highly polished, and it really stands out. I first tested this on my TV and I played it at 4K 60, then I switched over to my monitor to play it at 1440x20, and while there was a difference and it ultimately did help with my mastery and reaction time, the difference wasn't massive in my opinion. And I think either way, whether you decide to play this on PC, or PlayStation, or Xbox, or Switch, the game will look stunning with its visuals regardless of your platform of choice. Sure, you may not get the frame rate or resolution depending on the platform, but it's designed and optimized so well, it won't make a massive difference. If you're still not sold on whether or not this game will be your kind of thing, try out the demo. Yeah, there's actually a demo for this, and it's so great to see them make a resurgence recently. But if the demo still isn't enough for you, or you want to play it but are a little short on cash, it's available through Ubisoft Plus, which is what I use to play it. Now, I wouldn't usually recommend trying Ubisoft Plus in most cases, especially since the cost is more than that of a Game Pass Ultimate subscription and offers a much slimmer library, except for when you want to try out a game or two that you aren't entirely sold on. For me, it was because there are a lot of games that I'll be buying, and I figured I might as well just try it for this month only and purchase it later when it goes on sale, while also trying out that new Avatar game. But long story short, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is just plain fun. While a lot of the games I love are particularly engaging for its storytelling, it's really the gameplay here that has its hooks in me, and I definitely recommend it to both longtime Metroidvania fans and newcomers alike. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and let me know down below what you're picking this up on. And until next time, I'll see you soon.